Hey everybody, it's Scott Sandlin here for Hypno Thoughts Live. And as you all know by now, I am speed dating with a whole bunch of hypnotists. And the idea is simple. Hypno Thoughts Live is now the largest hypnosis conference in the world. And because of that, we have so many amazing presenters that are sharing such great content, it can be overwhelming. And so we got all this feedback from people saying, I just need to get started, like figure out how to get started digesting all this. And the answer is speed dating. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes with the pre and post conference presenters to make sure that you're making the best choices for your career. And I'm actually joined by two people who I've done separate speed dates with already because they're teaching other classes pre-conference. And this is a conversation about their post-conference workshop that they're doing together. I think I got the timing of that right. And I'm going to start. Of course, this is Freddie Jackman and Sandra Grace. And Sandra, ladies first, I'd like to just start by asking you an easy question about the Graceful Arrow, which is the course you guys are teaching. Where'd this come from? What is this that you guys are teamed up to do together?
Thanks. Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say it's an honor to be on a double date with Scott Sandlin and Freddie Jackman. I'm scoring, ladies. This is it. But second of all, I wanted to say that the Graceful Arrow, I'm really proud of where it came from. And I feel really honored to be able to teach this class. So Freddie and I met for the first time ever at Hypno Thoughts 3 years ago. Pre-COVID, when Freddie was still attending regularly, and we're so glad he's going to be back this year. And first of all, Dan Candell and Michael DeShalit were sweet enough to invite us to be on their bowling team because we were both newbies and we didn't know anything about getting a bowling team. So that's some of the great social stuff that happens at Hypno Thoughts. I just like to brag up how great people are. So that's how Freddie and I met. And then we continued to get to know each other over the weekend. And we decided when we left Hypno Thoughts that we were going to start working with each other. And so every week we would get on a call. And one week I would do some stuff for Freddie, and one week he'd do some stuff for me. And we kept hypnotizing each other every week. And we reached some amazing goals personally and professionally together. And at one point we started talking about how he often would use a version of the arrow technique with me. And I would often use a version of the Grace protocol with him. And at one point we sort of figured out that we had created this montage, this morphed event. And when he said to me, well, what exactly, if I was to figure out what's in the Grace protocol, what is it? I started describing it. And then I go, oh, I guess I kind of do an arrow in with it. And then he was talking about, he does a really awesome group class that I'm a part of. And one day he was doing a version of the arrow technique with the group class. And I sort of thought, that's got some Grace protocol in there. And we realized we had created this amazing hybrid. And so once we realized it, we said, we should be teaching people this. This is amazing. And so that's what happens when you commit to creating a really great hypno buddy. And I couldn't have picked a better one. I'm so honored to have spent so much time over the past few years with Freddie and getting to know him and his techniques and his styles. And I hope that if you haven't checked out his pre-conference, you will. But post-conference, we get to teach the Graceful Arrow together. And so it is a combination of some physical, structural, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual work that I do in the Grace protocol, combined with the ever so famous arrow technique, which I'm sure you all know about, where you can overcome any useless, unnecessary pain and anything that's been holding you back in your life up until now. So it is an incredible course. The technique is phenomenal, and learning this technique will definitely be something you'll be glad to take back to your clients. But I think more importantly is maybe what's going to happen for you post-conference, because if you've been at conference and you've been gaining all this insightful, amazing information, and you're about to get on a plane and head home, you might be feeling a moment of overwhelm. And so hanging out with Freddie and I believe will allow you to leave in a really good state.
That's awesome. By the way, I did not know that was the origin story. Like that's news to me that you guys actually met on Dan and Michael's bowling team. This is the first time I'm hearing that. That's actually really cool. I love.
Yeah, it's HCL that brought us together. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that about Hypno Thoughts Live. And I say that without taking credit for it. I love the community that we've all created there where that kind of thing can happen. It's just every time I hear a story like that, it blows me away. But let me switch over, Freddie, to you and ask you to follow up on what Sandra just sort of teased right there. So great. The content's going to be great. Obviously, the two of you have great reputations, not only as instructors, which you both do, as you know, but you also have great reputations as it relates to ongoing support of your students. It's not they take a class and then you drop them and walk away. Like you guys are doing, and I love that this is becoming more common, but it's it's not common enough, which is you guys are really doing a fantastic job of making sure your students are successful after the class is over, not just in a demo on a Saturday in a banquet hall. You guys are making sure that everybody's doing well, which I love. But I want to focus on what's going to happen in the room. So and I know I'm not asking you, Freddie, to say anything bad about the other courses, but what's different about the Graceful Arrow, maybe from a class you've taught by yourself or compared to some of the other offerings at HypnoThoughts Live or other conferences?
Well, obviously I can't talk about other courses because I don't know exactly what's going on in other courses. I can tell you what's going to happen in our on the 2 days of us. And what I want, and I know it's going to happen, I know it's what's happened for everybody, it's been involved with me and Sandra, is that when we teach, it's not just education. It's going to give you, this is a technique, here's the technique, you learn it, you go away and you use it with your clients. Because of the way we teach, our 2 days is not only going to be education, but it's going to be transformational, because we're going to show people how to use this technique. And then we're going to, on the second day, is going to be about practicing with each other, actually practicing these techniques. So if you come in there with an issue and when you're practicing with your hypno buddy in the class, if you like, you're going to get that transformation. And that's the joy of it for me. And like, as you said, I always think when people have been put on my path as a student, they're on my path. I can no longer not care about what happens to them, if you understand what I mean. I often say to people, if a month ago something I'd read, such and such happened to such and such, it's just the way it is. But once you're on my path, once you've been put on my path or whatever, then you're on my path. So I want everyone that spends the time with us, that makes the effort, spends the money and makes the effort to come and do our training, whether it's with me, with Sandra, or combined, I want them to be the best they can be. So I honestly, people think, oh, Freddie, he's too busy, I can't contact him. That's not the truth. Most of the time I'm looking after my bees and and plants in my garden. So I say to everybody, and I mean it, you can reach out to me. If you've got a question, ask me. Once the 2 days over, that's not when it's over.
Right.
It's, as far as I'm concerned, you're on my path, you're on Sandra's path, and if we can help, that's what we want to do. That's the joy of it for us. Yeah. And I know it's going to be transformational. That's my goal, and I know it's going to be my expectation as well.
So let me throw this up to both of you now. Can you give us, people have heard about both of your techniques, but Sandra, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to give you both an opportunity, just in case, to talk about what's gonna happen in the room. Like, how much of this is didactic educational? How much of this is experiential? How much of this is them practicing on each other? What's happening in this class?
Well, because of the background in education that both Freddie and I have had, he's had a lot of practicality. He's taught and trained so many students, and my background is in education. We understand there's a lot of different learning styles, so we're going to be approaching it from a lot of different views. There's not just going to be one lecture style that's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of different ways in which we're sharing the information, but the content is going to be a combination of everything that you said. There is going to be some of us, sharing, some of us demonstrating, some of us showing you how to work with one another. The core curriculum is the transformation part that I know that, like, sometimes we feel like everything's been said, everything's been done, it's just in a different way. But I truly believe that there's a very unique method in which you just gracefully sort of move into this higher frequency, the love and gratitude sort of frequency through this technique. And Freddie does a better job than I, so I'm going to let him explain to you what actually it can move you from. So there's a laundry list of all of the things that people might be struggling with, that this particular technique we found excessively successful with. So whatever you personally are coming in with, or that you might work with a client with, there's just so many examples of where it'll apply to your life. And Freddie, you do a better job of explaining some of those, I think.
Well, combined with Sandra's grace protocol, we are going to work into it a way, I run a thing I call quantum healing, but when it's combined with the grace protocol, which comes from the center of love, if you like, and I know it sounds like a big thing, but for me, is the bottom line. You know, emotion is the bottom line when we want to influence, and that's what we're doing really when we're doing hypnosis. Really, we're getting people to think differently and to see that they can achieve things, and that's through love. And that's one of the great things that I've learned from working with Sandra. And it was the big thing, you know, and I use those words all the time, you know, and I quote Sandra all the time. So we work these two things together. So we're going to show people how to use this protocol, if you like, to increase our own ability to heal. Because as you know, Scott, none of this is coming from me. It's not my fluence coming onto you. It's taking people into a state where they can tap into their own abilities to change. And that's what we do. And we do it from the center of love, because I think that opens us up to the ability to change. So as I said, I know from working with Sandra, this is an incredible way to go about changing. So it's going to be we're going to show you how to actually do some physical healing. I'm going to show you within the Grace protocol, as we've worked it, to have complete emotional control. So instead of just being a slave to our emotions, to be able to say, is this emotion of benefit or not? And if not, then you can go to what I call neutral. Because in neutral, we can make the right decisions. Most of us are making decisions in emotional states, and that's not the optimal state to be in when we have to make a big decision. And so those things, apart from, yes, we're going to work the arrow technique in with this to show people how to overcome pain, whether it's physical or emotional. So there's so much we're going to get. And then all of the background that Sandra has learned over the years to help people achieve what they want to achieve in their life. It's going to be great. As I said, it's going to be a powerful 2 days of learning, but not just learning, but transformation. And we will start, as I always start, with a group hypnosis. Make sure everyone's in exactly the right state of mind to absorb everything I'm going to teach. And before we leave, as I do with all my classes, we're going to hypnotize them as a group again to give them the confidence to go out and use this. Because as you know, Scott, so many people keep doing these courses. And if I could just learn one more technique, if I could just feel more confident, I want everyone going off those 2 days with the absolute belief, yes, I can use this protocol and I can help people. And not only that, they'll have already had the experience because it will help themselves. That's my expectation.
Yeah, I think there's such a congruence in what both of you teach and the way you teach it. And I think, Freddie, you just outlined that really well, that it's not just about, hey, let's make sure that you know how to help people. It's, hey, let's help you first so that you know what it's like experientially, and so that you're in a place so that you can learn this more effectively. So it's one of those things that's a great idea because when you hear it, it's obvious. But like a lot of great ideas, just because it's obvious doesn't mean everybody's doing it. So I'm glad you guys are. And to the people who are watching this, if you've heard this and you say, okay, I've heard of these people, I've heard of this content, where can I go learn more? We're going to make this simple. If you go to htlive.net, there's a button that says schedule. We've got a description of every course, of every workshop right there. You can just go and click and you'll see Graceful Arrow. Click on that and you'll get that description. And you can purchase and check out and register for the class right there as well. So we've made it as easy for you as possible to take a look at this class or any of their other classes, or actually some of their students and graduates teach at HypnoThoughts Live as well. So to both of you, thank you for being continued supporters of me and HypnoThoughts Live in our community. I mean it when I say I appreciate that, and the work you guys continue to put out, and the support you guys continue to offer your students.
We are a friendship team, Scott. We are a friendship. We wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yes.
If it wasn't for HTL, we would not have met, and that would have been a massive loss in my life. I know, to not to have met Sandra, because, as I said, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, if you like. So, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So that's great. It's going to be great. Thanks for inviting us along as well and letting us speak.
Of course.
Thank you to you and Stephanie.
Like to say to the
I just want to say thanks to you and Stephanie for this, because it's been transformational to me. Meeting Freddie has really made all the difference in my life, and it's because I was invited to present at HypnoThoughts that I got to meet him. And also, I get on my soapbox a lot about certain things like education in our profession, but also about collegiality. And so this ability to know someone as amazing as Freddie, who's known all over the world. I mean, he's taught in so many different countries, right? To know him and to really appreciate him as a practitioner because of all the help he's helped me those who help others need to make sure that they're in good standing themselves, right? So we practice what we preach. And so before we come to teach you, we work with each other so that we're in our best place. And then we're going to teach you to do the same before you go work with your clients. So
awesome. Let me just say this because it's so important to me. Sandra asked the 2 best questions ever asked on this planet. And I have given this to so many of my clients, so many of my students. These 2 questions, if you answer these 2 questions honestly, you can change your life. And the 2 questions this: what has to happen for you to love yourself enough to treat yourself to the life and the happiness that you want? That's number 1 question. What has to happen for you to love yourself enough? And the second question, if you are not living that life now, if not, why not? And I think anyone that's coming to HTL Live should ask those questions, even when they're looking for their classes. And they think, shall I take it? Shall I not take it? What has to happen for you to love yourself enough to treat yourself to that learning? What has to happen for you to, to treat yourself to that life you want? So you can help. And I've been saying this for a long time now, to create the life you want by helping others create the life they want. What better way is there for us to live? And that's what we do. And that's what HTL does.
Yeah.
It enables so many people to learn so many skills, to go out and create the life they want. If they want to create a life as a hypnotherapist, or in any walk, as a coach or whatever, HCL does that. So you can create the life you want by helping others create the life they want. There is no other better way of living.
Couldn't agree more. And you're right. Those questions are phenomenal. They're poignant. They're simple, and they're the point. So thank you to both of you guys for what you're doing, how you're doing it, and that you're doing some of it at HypnoThoughts Live. I really mean it. It's a huge value add to the profession and our community that you guys are doing it, and I appreciate you.
I can't wait. Can't wait to see you again, Scott. Can't wait to be there.
It's been a couple years.
And it is, I've been to lots of conferences. There is nothing like HTL.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the learning, it's the community, it's the love that you feel in that place. And as I said, really I owe my friendship with Sandra to you. So thanks very much.
Thank you,
Scott.
All right, we'll see you all soon.
Yeah, take care. Thank you.